EurIX is the Association of European Internet Exchange Points. All the IXPs present here are members of EurIX. There are also actually EurIX t-shirts at the back. So unfortunately, it's just one size fits nobody, but but yeah, it's female large. But we're hoping not to have to take them back anymore. So they were left because EurIX has 2 meetings every year, and this spring or in June, the meeting was in Tampere. So they brought those T-shirts for EurIX members, but they didn't all, go. So they were left in my closet, and then I don't want them there either. So I brought them here. Anyway, EurIX had a second meeting already this year as well. It was in Edinburgh. It was 2 months ago, I think now. And I made some notes because I noticed that I was the only Finn there. Usually there are a few more Finns there. I made a few notes about interesting presentations and interesting points that I saw mentioned there. So first of all, there's a discussion starting about IXP neutrality. The aim is to define what IXP neutrality means, and the underlying aim that I understood that the people that are working on this IXP neutrality definition want it so that it'll if you can certify your IXP as being neutral, then it'll help you in marketing and in defending the prices that you are asking your members to pay for membership or ports or whatever. Actually, since we have people from TechX and NetNode, are any of you involved with this project at all? Back and forth. Right. So it's a bit of a controversial issue, at least in my point of view, because there are so many ways to define neutrality. I mean, there are you can be neutral to your members. You can like pricing, no favors, stuff like that, or you can be run neutrally so that everyone, like FICX, for example, all FICX members can elect people for FICX board, or another sort of axis of neutrality is whether the IXP competes with its members with some services. Like if the IXP sells like transit or something to its members, then is it neutral, and so on. So the project seems to be trying to define a very small subset of all of this. Another issue that I sort of have with it is that if IXPs have services that sort of compete, for example, their members, that has been specifically put outside scope. So you can get a neutrality tag and still compete with your own members and stuff like that. So I just, there was a panel discussion without a panel. It was just, 10 people from the audience asking difficult questions. And also, I don't think the project is moving very fast. They have on their website a list of 10 phases, but I don't know if they meet like once a year or once every 2 years or something. So do you guys from NetNode or TechX want to add something to this, what I already said? Yeah. Yeah. So it remains to be seen if it comes to anything. Also, one thing that I find a bit weird about this is that it's being done outside EurIX. So EurIX is the association of all European IXs, and there are tons of IXPs from other continents also there. But this work is they are doing it outside EurIX, and I don't know why. Anyway, The other interesting presentation was PeeringDB feature update. I'm sure everyone already, well, maybe I should just quickly recap what PeeringDB is. So PeeringDB is a place where internet operators can register all their information regarding peering, like their autonomous system, their type, if they're a content provider or access provider or whatever, the number of prefixes in traffic that they are aiming to exchange, and all the places, both IXs and physical facilities where they are willing to exchange traffic. So it's sort of a dating service for autonomous systems. So if you want to exchange traffic, let's take like Amazon or Facebook. If you want to exchange traffic with them and you don't know where to do it, you can go on PeeringDB, look up their autonomous system and see where they are connected. And then you know where you are connected, then you can just look for common sites, common facilities or common IXs. It also has a programming interface so that you can write your own scripts against it. So basically, it's trivial to, I think there are several implementations of web scripts where you insert two autonomous systems and it gives you all the common facilities. So you don't even have to, browse through it all. It just gives you the answer where you can peer. Anyway, so that's PeeringDB. And they've been very busy in the past year. This is just a small cross-section of all the stuff that the presentation at EurIX contained. But one thing is that there's also this IXPDB, which is a similar thing, but for IXPs. Basically, these days it's IXF export. So IXPDB, while it exists, it's not as useful as PeeringDB yet. But PeeringDB can import IXF export data. So IXF export data means that Internet Exchange Points can put a JSON file or JSON file on their website where they list all their members, all their technical info, and all their technical public info. And then PeeringDB can import that and populate PeeringDB with that information. So like one example is that some operator connects to an exchange point and they get an IP address from there. If the operator updates PeeringDB themselves, they'll get it there. But if the operator forgets it, then PeeringDB can get the same info from the IXP. And if they later leave that IXP, they might forget to update PeeringDB, but then the PeeringDB might get the info from the IXP again. That's sort of the idea behind the IXF export data. So that's been improving. A second thing that has been improving is user handling for organizations. So if you operate a big internet operator, you are probably going to have multiple people that have accounts on PeeringDB, and they all might need to be able to update your organization's information on PeeringDB. But then somebody leaves, goes to work for a competitor or whatever, but they still might have access to your PeeringDB info. So this is not good. So they've added better ability to manage, for organizations to manage who their organization users are. You can, for example, limit that the organization users all have to have an email address in a certain domain name, for example. Or I think there are other similar ways to limit as well. You can require multi-factor or two-factor authentication from all your organization users, and so on. Third interesting thing is that IXPs can now add their own logos on PeeringDB. I noticed that DKIX has one, NetNot doesn't have one yet, Trex doesn't have one either, because I put it on my to-do list in Edinburgh, and it's still there. Figix, I don't think has it either, but it's and I think it might be possible for ISPs as well to add your logo to PeeringDB. I didn't investigate that side. I was more interested about IXPs for well, and well, there were a lot of other new features as well, but a reminder that PeeringDB is a volunteer program that is run on sponsorships. The money doesn't just come from trees, so they need more sponsors, and they also need volunteers to man their help desk, for example, or write and update their documentation and how-tos and stuff like that. I think NetNode and DGIX are both, or at least have been sponsors. So everybody give a big hand for NetNode and DGIX for sponsoring. Does anyone else in the room admit to having sponsored PeeringDB? Well, maybe next time. Okay, another presentation. Yes?
Quick question. What is the adaptation rate of PeeringDB in Finland? I've been hearing from different sources that it's very likely not being used as it should be, and that's of course like for many ISPs, when they're looking information like making investments, expanding into Finland, it causes a big headache for them.
Yes. So the question is what is the adoption rate in Finland for PeeringDB? And well, I do agree that it's not great, but it's getting better. One reason that it's getting better is that when Facebook and Cloudflare, for example, joined Figix and started peering with Finnish ISPs, their peering policy is based on PeeringDB. So if you are not on PeeringDB, you can't peer with them. So that is one thing that is pushing people toward using PeeringDB in Finland, but mostly it's just ISPs that are connected to IXCs. So ISPs or autonomous systems that are not connected to IXCs in Finland are not likely to be on PeeringDB. And the other point you mentioned is that when foreign ISPs consider expanding their network to Finland, they go to PeeringDB to see where's the place to be. And when Finnish ISPs haven't registered where they are, the foreign ISPs are blind. They don't know which facility, if they should go to Equinix or Telia data center, or and especially in Helsinki, I think the situation is good that there are a lot of autonomous systems in these facilities registered at PeeringDB. But if you go to Tampere or Oulu or other cities, even the facilities might not be registered, let alone people in those facilities. I've been poking all the Tampere networks to to put us on the map. So now Hurricane Electric is interested in Tampere. Hurricane Electric is an example of a network that built their network according to PeeringDB. Cogent is another one. Basically, I guess all the tier ones look at the data. So if we want more tier ones in Finland, and especially if we want them outside Helsinki, then we need to do better on PeeringDB. Okay, another presentation. Oh, you've got a question.
I don't need a mic. Anyway, we now got a logo on Peering.
So it was this easy. Yes. Well done. Okay, so another presentation was from BGIX, from the Berlin Commercial Internet Exchange. The point of that presentation was that most of the IXs that are providing 100G ports are providing or have standardized the port type to LR4, and they were worried that maybe we should start shifting that standardization to LR1 or plain LR, because those optics are going to be cheaper. Well, they are cheaper. They were already cheaper in Edinburgh. Of course, it depends on where you get your optics, but it should be true from all sources pretty soon if it isn't already. So so the presentation at EuroIX didn't really get a lot of response. So I don't know. Does NetNode or DigX want to say something about?
Yeah, Kaya from NetNode. We're happy to support, of course, LR4 because that's what the big bulk of it is, but also LR1 if you want to. We got all LR1 already running, so just let us know.
Does DigX want to say something? Oh, you wouldn't know how to answer. Okay, right. Okay. I suppose one of the things Berlin Commercial Internet Exchange also brought up was that pretty soon the big boys are going to be only having 400G ports in their switches, so that they'll be implementing the 100G ports by splitting a 400G port into 4. And with that, LR4 is completely out of the question. LR1 is the only option. So maybe that'll happen. I suppose every IXP can and will make the decision by themselves. What they were trying to do was get everyone to come to the decision at the same time, so that it could save everybody a lot of time wondering what the right optic type is. Is this no? Okay. AM6 from Amsterdam also had a presentation about route server hygiene. I don't remember what the exact name was, but I rebranded it into a hygiene presentation. So basically, as already has been mentioned in a couple of presentations today, route servers are really important to IXPs, and the big boys like AM6, DGX, and NetNode, who have hundreds of sessions on their route server, also see a lot more of the ugly side of what happens on route servers. I don't think our Finnish route servers have really seen any sort of malfeasance to this day yet. So some of the things that AM6 was worried about were basically they wanted to put limits on the number of BGP communities per every route, the type of BGP communities. Basically, the type here means that if you are sending routes to the route server, you should only attach the route server specific communities to your route, not like your transit or whatever other origin or whatever other community types you have. And the maximum autonomous path length. So there have been cases where somebody has 100 prepends on their route when it enters the route server. And the problem with all these cases is that when your route has a lot of communities or a long autonomous system path, it has a big memory footprint. And then if your route flaps, so it comes and goes, that causes a lot of traffic. So the route comes in from the member to the route server, and then it like hundreds of copies of it go out to all the other members. So that's and if you have like 100 routes or 1,000 routes, and all of them have a few kilobytes of kilobytes of spurious data, that can suddenly be megabits or tens of megabits of BGP traffic, and also a ton of CPU churning for the route server and everybody else's routers as well. And the routers certainly don't have too fast CPUs. So AM6 suggested that we should perhaps write some sort of a standard for these things, and then at least the big IXPs could adopt the standard, because of course if AM6 alone does it, then their members will whine that DGX doesn't do this. Why are you doing this to us? So when more IXPs are adopted, then industry standards are good. That's basically the idea. Do you want to add something?
No, we are also in this discussion with Ruben.
Yeah. Okay. And I think this was my last slide. How are we for time?